Welcome back, gentlemen. If you've been watching for any length of time, you already know this about me. I don't deal in fear, I don't deal in hype, and I don't deal in that fantasy that the Philippines is some kind of magic eraser. You don't land here and suddenly undo 60 years of habits just because the sun is shining and the beer is cheap. I deal in reality. And the reality I want to talk to you about today is something I see happen over and over like clockwork. Men come here with the best intentions, a pocket full of cash and a heart full of hope, and then they hit what I call the 2-year wall. I've watched this happen hundreds of times. Month 6, you feel like you've cracked the code. Month 18, the math stops working. Month 24, you're gone. Poof. No goodbye post, no exit video. Just a quiet flight home with less money and less time than when you arrived. If you're 65, divorced, and thinking about building your future here, you cannot afford to hit this wall. I'm going to show you exactly why it happens and how to walk straight through it instead of crashing into it. To understand the wall, we have to look at the men who hit it. I want to introduce you to a guy. Let's call him Pete. Now, Pete is a composite character, but I know 50 Petes. Some of you watching this right now might be Pete. Pete is 65. He's retired. He's got a pension, maybe $3,000 a month. He's got about $50,000 sitting in a savings account. Let me be clear about something. Pete isn't stupid. He's a good guy. He worked hard his whole life. But Pete is hopeful. He believes he can take his Western habits, drop them into a developing country, and just hit play. He wants a clean start. He tells himself, I deserve this. And that thought process, that entitlement disguised as optimism, is the cancer that kills his retirement. Here's what happens when Pete lands. It doesn't matter if it's in Manila or Cebu. He undergoes a massive, psychological shift. For the first time in 20 years, Pete feels rich. He converts his dollars to pesos. Suddenly, his wallet feels thick. He looks at the menu prices and laughs. A beer is $1.50. A taxi ride is $3. He feels like he hacked the system. Pete rents a condo, but not a modest one. He rents a high-rise in BGC or Makati. Pool, gym, view. He's paying $1,200 a month. Back home, that money got him a shoebox. Here, it gets him a palace. He tells himself, I can afford this. It's still cheaper than home. Then Pete meets a girl. She's 24, she's beautiful. She laughs at his jokes and Pete falls hard. He wants to impress her. He wants to show her he's not just another tourist passing through. So they go out to dinner every night. Not local spots, nice spots. Steaks, wine, Korean barbecue. He starts traveling. Boracay for the weekend, off to Palawan. He pays for the flights. He pays for the hotels. He buys her a phone because hers is cracked. He sends a little money to her family because $50 means nothing to him, but it means the world to them. 6 months in, Pete emails me and tells me I'm too negative. Rob, you don't get it. This place is paradise. But Pete isn't living a life. Pete is financing a 24-month vacation. This brings us to the first concept that destroys men here. Vacation math versus living math. Vacation math is what you do when you go to Hawaii for 10 days. You splurge, you say yes to everything because you're going back to work on Monday. But Pete isn't going back to work. Pete is retired. His income is fixed. That $3,000 a month is it. Let's look at Pete's burn rate. Rent, $1,200. Electricity, $300. Because he runs AC like he's in Florida. Food and entertainment, $1,000. Because he refuses to cook. Transport, $500. Because he takes Grab everywhere. Pete is spending exactly what he makes. Zero margin. The problem isn't the $40 dinner. The problem is the $40 dinner becoming your lifestyle. When the variables hit, motorcycle, $2,000 out of savings. Girlfriend's medical emergency, $1,000. Slowly, quietly, the nest egg drains. I once sat with a guy in Makati. He couldn't understand why his account was empty. He showed me his receipts, all $40 dinners. And here's the kicker. Pete doesn't feel it yet, because Pete is intoxicated by relief. This part is critical. Relief is not clarity. When you land here, you feel relief. Relief from the cold, relief from financial pressure, relief from loneliness. Relief feels like solving your problems, but it isn't. Clarity is knowing exactly who the woman across the table is. Clarity is knowing exactly what your budget can sustain for 20 years, not 20 weeks. Pete has relief. Pete has zero clarity. He thinks he's in love. He's actually relieved someone is paying attention to him. He thinks he's rich. He's actually relieved he's not being squeezed. He is making permanent decisions on a temporary emotional high. Now let's fast forward to month 18. Savings drop from $50,000 to $15,000. That's the oh no zone. Rent goes up. The condo that felt luxurious now feels like a trap. The honeymoon phase ends. The dopamine and endorphins, it's gone. Pete realizes he has nothing in common with her. He wants structure. She lives on Filipino time. Money gets tight. No more Boracay, no laptop for your cousin. The dynamic changes instantly because the relationship was built on transactions. Pulling back feels like betrayal. Pete hits the wall, angry, broke, bitter. He posts online, Filipinos are all scammers. The Philippines is a trap. But the truth is simple. The Philippines didn't ruin Pete. It revealed him. It revealed he had no plan, no discipline, no structure. Now let's talk about how to avoid becoming Pete, especially if you're starting online. There are two phases to finding a long-term girlfriend or wife online: the hiring phase and the recruiting phase. Most men get this completely backwards. Hiring is cold, objective, selective. You are the CEO of your life. No money, no rescue missions, no pension talk. You reject 99% of the candidates. Then, and only then, when you find a high-quality woman, you pivot. Recruiting is leadership, consistency, stability. Recruit too early and you buy your downfall. Never pivot and a high-quality woman will leave. Now let's talk about the man who survives, Steve. Steve lands with the same budget as Pete, but Steve builds structure, not fantasy. He rents a $400 or $500 place. He cooks. He leaves a margin in his budget. He dates slowly. He follows the 90-day rule. And most importantly, Steve chooses the right city. Let's talk about fit. Manila. World-class hospitals, highest dollar burn rate. Cebu, city and beach, brutal traffic. Dumaguete, community, walkable, slow pace of life. Rojas City, ocean, low cost, basic medical care. Malaybalay, cool climate, very low cost, provincial life. Steve chooses fit, not fantasy. Now let's talk about the systems that keep you alive. If you burn your money in BGC, because you want that New York City high roller life, that's gonna really create a problem. If you go off to Rojas City for $400 or $500 a month, you have a quiet life, you cook your own meals, that's gonna be the type of system that keeps you alive. Some of these systems, let's talk about these. Healthcare access, emergency cash, motorbike discipline. Pete ignores logistics. Steve plans for them. And that brings us to the redesign. There's 3 steps. Stop vacation math. Master the pivot from hiring to recruiting. Choose your battlefield. Budget cash margin equals freedom. The math, the map, and the lie men tell themselves. Now let's talk about the part that actually destroys men. Not women, not culture, not scams, math. Because here's the lie men tell themselves. If I can afford it this month, I can afford it forever. That lie is what pushes men into year 2 already bleeding. I want you to hear this clearly. Your retirement does not fail all at once. It fails quietly through small daily decisions that feel harmless. A slightly nicer condo, a few more dinners out, a few more weekends away, and because the Philippines feels cheap, you stop feeling the friction until the friction becomes gravity. So let's slow this down and talk about living math. Not vacation math, not fantasy math, living math. Living math is boring. It's not sexy. It doesn't sell YouTube thumbnails, but it keeps men alive. Here's the first rule. You don't build your life on the ceiling of your income. If your pension is $3,000, you do not build a $3,000 life. You build a $2,000 life and you bank the rest. Margin is oxygen. Margin is what allows you to say no without fear. Margin is what keeps you from negotiating with desperation. Pete had no margin. Steve always does. Now let's talk about location, because this is where men get emotional and stop thinking. Men don't choose cities logically. They choose cities based on identity. They move to places that make them feel younger, cooler, more important. And then they wonder why the math doesn't work. The Philippines is not one place. It's 7,600 islands with radically different costs, pace, and risk profiles. So I'm going to walk you through 5 city profiles, not to tell you where to live, but to show you how to choose correctly. First, Metro Manila. BGC, Makati. This is the Beverly Hills of the Philippines, the top cities of the pyramid. World-class hospitals, international restaurants, Western grocery stores, real sidewalks. If you are 65 with heart issues, this matters. Manila is where you survive a medical emergency. But let's be honest, Manila is expensive. Rent alone can eat 40% of your income. Then add traffic, grab rides, restaurants, and lifestyle creep. Manila works only if you have a strong margin or outside income. If you try to force Manila on a tight fixed pension, it will grind you down quietly. Second, Cebu City. Cebu is the compromise city. You get hospitals, you get nightlife, you get beaches within 30 minutes. For many men, this is the best balance. But here's the warning. Traffic in Cebu is catching up to Manila. If sitting in traffic makes you angry, this will poison your days. Angry men spend money trying to escape discomfort. That's how budgets break. Third, Dumaguete. Dumaguete is about community, university town, walkable, calmer, and slower. The city saves men who are done proving things, but it bores men who still need stimulation. If you need action, attention, constant novelty, Dumaguete will suffocate you. Bored men create expensive problems. Now, let's talk about the cities most YouTubers ignore, because these are the cities where math starts working again. First, Rojas City. Rojas is quiet, coastal, clean. Seafood capital, low rent, low noise. This is not a party town. This is a place for a man who wants peace, routine, and low burn. The trade-off? Medical care is basic. You do not live here if you have unresolved health issues. You live here if stability beats excitement. Then, let's talk about Malai Balai in Buchanan, just 2 hours from here. This is a mountain life. Cool air, no AC, green, agricultural. Your dollar goes really far here. Very far. But this is provincial life. You are not going out. You are not chasing nightlife. You are not choosing health, quiet, and longevity. Men who choose Malai Balai correctly look 10 years younger within 2. Men who choose it for fantasy leave within 6 months. Here's the rule. You do not choose a city to impress anyone. You choose a city that protects your margin, because margin protects your mind. Now let's talk about friction. This is where men hemorrhage money without realizing it. Every inconvenience you refuse to adapt costs you cash. Western men hate friction. Heat, traffic, cooking, errands, so they outsource everything. Grab, food delivery, laundry service, impulse taxis. Individually cheap, collectively lethal. Steve learns systems, local markets, walking routes, routine. Pete avoids friction by spending. Steve reduces friction by adapting. And here's the hard truth. Men who refuse to adapt pay premium prices forever. Now let's talk about time. Month 6, everything feels easy. Month 12, small irritations start costing money. Month 18, the compound effect hits. That's when men panic. They don't panic emotionally, they panic financially. And when men panic financially, they make relationship decisions out of fear. Fear of being alone, fear of starting over, fear of admitting mistakes. That's how men stay in bad situations longer than they should. Steve plans for friction. Pete reacts to it. And this is where I need to say something uncomfortable. The Philippines does not destroy men. It removes the buffers that were hiding their weaknesses. In the West, your mistakes are masked by income. Here, they are exposed. So if you want to survive year 2, you must design your life to reduce pressure. Pressure creates bad decisions, and bad decisions create expensive exits. This brings us to the bridge. In the first part of this video, I showed you what the wall looks like, and now I've told you why men hit it. Next, I'm going to show you how men actually cross it, not with optimism, but with structure. Because optimism fades. Structure compounds. Stay with me, we're not done yet. The systems and the redesign. Now we need to talk about the part that men don't want to talk about, they don't want to admit, relationships. Because most men don't fail here because of money alone. They fail because they confuse attention with compatibility. Just because a woman is smiling at you does not mean she sees you. And just because she sees you does not mean she is right for your life. This is where good men get wrecked. Many of you are starting this process online before you ever pack a suitcase. And if you're going to do that, you must understand one thing. There are 2 completely different modes of online dating. And most Western men blend them together. There are 2 different types of businesses also. There's a consistency business, like filling up seats on Southwest Airlines. You can't make your profit in one day. There aren't enough seats. You have to be consistent. And here in the Philippines, if you go on Tinder, you will consistently find the wrong woman to go on a date with. If you want someone to go with you to a resort, you will consistently find someone within a few days on a website, a dating app like that. But if you're looking for a woman like my wife, Chrissy, this involves a different business model. This involves persistence. And business models that require persistence are more like searching for buried treasure or stock picking. And you can pick 99 losers and one NVIDIA stock and be wildly successful. You can search for 100 days and find no gold, but if you find that Spanish galleon on the last day, the 100th day, that's a persistence business model. That's a winner. There are two completely different modes of online dating, and most Western men blend them together. That mistake is catastrophic. The two modes are simple. And by the way, up until January 2nd, if you just send me an email to flymetothe.philippines@gmail.com, I will send you a free copy of my new book. It's still a draft. It should be out in a few weeks. A Western Man's Guide to Dating in Asia and the Philippines. All the do's and don'ts I've learned from talking to hundreds of men. The two modes are simple: hiring and recruiting. If you remember nothing else from this video, remember this: you do not recruit before you hire. Hiring is the screening phase, and we're gonna hire hard, hire slow, because we wanna have a low maintenance life. This is where men need discipline, not charm. In the hiring mode, you're cold, not rude, not cruel, but objective. You get off that video call and pretend the UPS driver's at the door as soon as you realize you're not interested. You are the CEO of your life, and you are filling a high-stakes role in hiring mode. No money, not 1 peso. No rescue missions, no sob stories you fix. No talk about your pension, your assets, or your future plans. You are watching consistency, punctuality, story alignment. You are disqualifying quickly. Late to calls, disqualified. Asks for money, disqualified. Drama with exes, disqualified. This phase takes patience and persistence. And yes, you will reject 99%. That's not pessimism. That's filtering. Then and only then you will find her. A woman with her own life, her own routines, her own dignity. She asks about your day, not your wallet. She isn't in a hurry to extract value from you. This is where men blow it. Because once you find a high quality woman, you must pivot. If you stay in a hiring mode forever, you will lose her. Imagine you were Phil Jackson 30 years ago and someone rang your phone and told you there was a kid named Michael Jordan. He could be hired. If you don't switch gears and stop hiring and start recruiting, you will not be Coach of the Year for the next 20 years. You will lose him. High quality women have options. They do not stay with men who interrogate them for 6 months. This is where recruiting begins. Recruiting is not gifting. Recruiting is leadership, consistency, clarity, direction. You begin sharing your vision, your values, your structure, not promises, not money, stability. You are saying, I know where I'm going and I know what I want to build. Men who never pivot lose good women. Men who recruit too early buy their own downfall. You must know which gear you're in. Pete never did. Steve does. Now let's talk about systems. Because even with the right woman and the right city, men still fail if they don't build support. In month 12 is when the friction starts costing money. Cooking, errands, logistics. This is when domestic help can either save you or destroy you. Pete hires transactionally. First English speaker, lowest friction, no integration. She quits or ghosts. Pete says you can't trust anyone. Steve understands culture. He understands malasakit. You cannot buy loyalty here. You earn it. Steve asks landlords for referrals. This creates social accountability. He pays fairly. He pays legally. He pays Social Security for the help. He pays their PhilHealth. In return, he gets protection. Someone who tells him where not to shop, who overcharges, who to avoid. Pete pays foreigner prices. Steve pays local prices. Now let's talk about the two killers, health and transport. We are not 25 anymore. Things break. This is where geography becomes life or death. If you have issues, you do not live in a remote beach town. You stay near major hospitals. You pay for safety. Pete ignores this. Instagram beaches, cheap rent. Then a heart attack. No 911, no cath lab. Time is muscle. Pete loses everything because he ignored logistics. No golden hour for Pete. Steve plans. Emergency, cash, private ambulance numbers. Now, let's talk about the motorbike. I see this every week. Men land, rent scooters, drive it like it's a video game. No helmet, flip-flops. Here's the truth. If you are in an accident with a local, you pay. Fair or not, that's reality. Just yesterday, we installed the dash cam on our new truck. Without it, you are a sitting duck. I've seen men stuck, unable to leave hospitals because bills aren't settled. Pete rides carelessly. Steve takes grab. If he drives a scooter, he gets a helmet. He drives defensively. He has the proper license. Pete respects fantasy. Steve respects chaos. Now, let's arrive here at the redesign. The 2-year wall is not inevitable. It's a choice. And it comes down to 3 decisions. First, stop vacation math. You design your life for your worst month, not your best. Build margin. Margin equals freedom. Second, master the pivot. Hire ruthlessly. Recruit deliberately. Do not mix the two. Third, choose your battlefield. Pick the city that protects your budget, your health, your temperament, not your ego. Men who make it here don't just feel lucky, they feel calm. Steve isn't happy because he's rich. He's happy because he isn't stressed. And here's the final truth. The Philippines doesn't ruin men, it amplifies them. Come here with structure and it rewards you. Come here with chaos and it eats you alive. Pete hit the wall. Steve built a bridge over it. Be Steve. It's your life. It's your checkbook. You can build something extraordinary here. And real quick, don't forget to pick up our best-selling book, Fly Me to the Philippines, 9 months, #1 on Amazon in Philippines travel. 300 pages, everything you need to know to prepare for your first trip to the Philippines. And part of hiring hard, part of being ruthless, is knowing whether you are being taken advantage of, whether you're being lied to. If you were CEO of a company, you would do a reference check, and if you were smart, you wouldn't do it yourself. You would have somebody else do it for you. And that's why Chrissy offers her moral and ethical social media investigation service. If you want a 2-page readout on her service, what it costs, what is involved, just email us at flymetothephilippines@gmail.com. Before you come to visit these 7,000 islands, consider this. Don't you deserve a big brother and a little sister who could guide you along your way, share with you the mistakes men made before you, common mistakes, and share with you little pearls of wisdom, travel tips, good Airbnbs, best hotels, and have a little sister help you when that Filipina wraps you around the axle? Just go ahead and click the link in the description box or the first comment, or write us at flymetothephilippines@gmail.com. Chrissy and I are living proof. But if you don't do the work, the math will do it for you. This is Rob for another episode of Fly Me to the Philippines.